in our last class, we studied about Oersted experiment to understand the relationship between electricity and magnetism. And also we studied about the force acting on a charged particle in the presence of magnetic field, which is known as Lorentz magnetic force, and also the force acting on a charged particle in the presence of both electric and magnetic field, known as Lorentz force. There will be a difference between Lorentz magnetic force and Lorentz force. Lorentz magnetic force is the force acting on the charged particle only due to magnetic field, whereas Lorentz force is the force acting on the charged particle due to the combined field like electric and magnetic. And in the Oersted investigation, we also understood about one fact. What is that means? Suppose if we pass the current through the conductor and if iron filings are sprayed or sprinkled around this conductor, then it is found that the iron filings align themselves in the form of concentric circles like this. So this is what we understood. What does it reveals? It reveals that there exists magnetic field all around the conductor by passing the current through it, and because of that magnetic field, the iron filings, means iron particles, fine particles of iron align themselves in the form of concentric circle. See, the alignment of the iron filings or the iron powder particles in the form of concentric circle also shows the nature of magnetic field that exists around a straight conductor when current is passed through it. That means whenever we pass the current through a straight conductor, suppose if I imagine this as a straight conductor, if I pass the current either in the upward direction or in the downward direction, then the magnetic field all around the conductor will be in the form of concentric circles of increasing radii. So that is what we can understand from this investigation. So whenever year afterwards we can consider that when we pass the current through a straight conductor, the magnetic field lines, so this is magnetic field lines, it will be in the form of concentric circles. Suppose if that is the case, then if I want to find the direction of magnetic field, because magnetic field is a vector quantity, then how to find the direction of magnetic field at any point around a conductor, straight conductor? Look here, if this is the straight conductor, now I pass the current through the straight conductor, then at this point or at this point, that means if this is the straight conductor, by passing the current through it in any one of the direction, what will be the magnetic field at the front side of the conductor, or at this side, right side, or at the left side, or at the back side, at any point all around the conductor, either here or here or here or somewhere here, at any point, what's the direction of magnetic field? The direction of magnetic field can be determined by making use of rule known as right hand clasp rule or thumb rule. Right hand clasp rule or thumb rule. Now what is the statement of this rule? Then how this rule is used to find the direction of the magnetic field at any point around a straight conductor when current is flowing through it? Now what I do means, we know that magnetic field lines will be in the form of concentric circle. This we understood by Oersted experiment. Let us write one circle like this. Okay. Now, according to this rule, Imagine a straight conductor and let us hold this straight conductor by means of right hand. By means of right hand in such a way that the thumb finger represent the direction of flow of current, whereas the fingers clasping or curling, the fingers clasping all around this conductor like this gives the direction of magnetic field. So that is what we have represented here. So this is the straight conductor. Now along the direction of current, thumb finger is pointing. Now the fingers are curling like this. So the curling finger gives the direction of magnetic field. So what I do means I just put arrow. Arrow indicates the curling direction of the four fingers. So this is the statement of right hand clasp rule or thumb rule. Why it is called as thumb rule or why it is called as right hand clasp rule? We are using right hand, okay, and we are making use of thumb finger, and we are also making use of the clasping fingers to represent the magnetic field direction, okay. So if thumb finger represents the current direction, then fingers clasping gives the direction of magnetic field. So clasping and thumb, both these terms are used. So let us write in the simplest way. If thumb finger represent the direction of current, then clasping fingers, clasping or curling fingers represents the direction of magnetic field. So this gives the current direction, thumb finger, whereas clasping finger gives the direction of magnetic field. So this is the statement of right hand clasp rule. Okay. So remember, right hand means we have to use right hand itself. Then if that is the case, now let us consider like this. Suppose if I want to find the direction of magnetic field, where if this is the conductor, I am holding the conductor like this, somewhere here towards left side at this point, I want to find the direction of magnetic field. Also at the back of the conductor, I have to find the direction of magnetic field. Similarly, at the front side of the conductor at one of the point here, what is the direction of field? And somewhere here at this point, what is the direction of the magnetic field? I want to determine, because finger clasping gives the direction of magnetic field, no doubt. But at different points, what are the field direction? At all the points around the straight conductor, the direction of the magnetic field is not constant. It keeps changing from point to point. So let us find out what are those directions. So I choose now certain number of points. At this point, what is the direction of magnetic field? Simply all that I am going to do is I draw one tangent. So the tangent drawn gives the direction of magnetic field. Similarly, at the back side of the conductor at this point, what is the direction of magnetic field? Draw the tangent drawn gives the direction of magnetic field. Somewhere here, if I want to find the direction of magnetic field, so draw the tangent. Again, at the front side of the conductor, draw the tangent. So from this figure, it is very clear or it is evident that at different points, the direction of magnetic field is different. It is always tangential to the circular path. What does the circle represent? The circle represent the curling direction of the finger, or it represents the magnetic field line. It represents the magnetic field line. Then at different points, if I want to find the direction of field, simply draw the tangent. Suppose if I reverse the current, then how to find the direction of magnetic field? Let us draw one more figure. This is the conductor. So current direction is reversed. Current is flowing in the downward direction, whereas it flows here in the upward direction. Again, I imagine a circle all around this. Okay. Now this is the conductor. I hold the conductor once again by means of right hand only. Don't use left hand, because we are stating right hand. Remember, whatever may be the direction of current, we have to use right hand itself. But only thing is, while holding the conductor, you reverse the direction of the thumb finger, because thumb finger should represent always the current direction. So if this is the conductor, now I hold this conductor by means of right hand, not like this. This holds good for first figure, whereas for second figure I am going to hold the conductor like this. The thumb finger, which is pointing in the downward direction, gives the direction of current, and the fingers curling like this gives the direction of magnetic field. So fingers are curling along that direction, I mark the arrows. Okay. Now again, if I want to find the direction of magnetic field at different points, that means right side, somewhere here, left side, front side, and even at the back. Let us mark those points here. Here, also here. So all that I need to do is draw the tangent. How do you draw the tangent? Tangent should be drawn along curling direction. Look here. Curling is like this. Of course, we can draw the tangent like this also. Look here. Tangent can also be drawn like this, but this is the wrong way of drawing the tangent, because the tangent direction should be along the curling direction. So here also at this point I draw the tangent along the curling direction. So this gives the direction of magnetic field. At this point, this gives the direction of magnetic field. So here this will be the direction of magnetic field, and once again at this point finally this will become the direction of magnetic field. So this is how we apply the right hand clasp rule to find the direction of magnetic field. So here afterwards, remember one point: whenever we pass the current through a straight conductor, the magnetic field lines all around it will be in the form of concentric circles like this. At any point to the circle, if we draw the tangent, that gives the direction of magnetic field at that point. Now let us consider that how to identify or how to represent the direction of magnetic field pictorially. That means by means of simple figure, to represent the direction of magnetic field, we use the symbols like this: dot mark inside the circle and a cross mark inside the circle. What does it represent? So this represent the direction of magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the figure, directed outwards. Then what does this represent? So this diagram now represent the direction of magnetic field, okay, perpendicular to the plane of the figure, directed inwards. So whenever we come across a diagram like this, what is that we have to understand? This diagram represents or indicate that magnetic field direction is perpendicular to the plane of the figure. What is the plane of the figure in this case? The board itself is the plane of the figure, since these two figures are written on the board. So this will be the direction of magnetic field according to this diagram. So field is perpendicular to this plane, perpendicular to the plane, and it will be directed outwards. Here field will be once again perpendicular to the plane, but it will be directed inwards. So it will be inwards like this, and here it will be outwards like this. These two diagrams holds good not only for magnetic field, even or magnetic field, and also we can consider electric field, and also we can consider the direction of current also. So direction of, I write here, direction of current, comma, magnetic field and electric field. So according to this diagram now, if I come across this diagram, then what I can understand means the current is flowing outwards in a perpendicular direction. If this is the conductor, current flows outwards in a perpendicular direction to the board. Also, magnetic field is directed outwards, electric field is also directed outwards. We cannot consider all three at a time. We have to consider any one. If you apply this diagram for current, current is outward. If you apply this diagram for magnetic field, field is outward. Similarly, if you apply this diagram for electric field is directed outwards. Here, current is directed inwards like this, magnetic field is directed inwards, and also electric field is directed inwards. So remember these simple diagrams to find the direction of current, magnetic field and also electric field. Suppose if a charged particle enters at right angles to the magnetic field, if I assume this is the direction of magnetic field, if a charged particle enters at right angles to it, then what happens? It doesn't move along straight line itself. As soon as it enters, if I imagine this as a charge and this is the direction of the magnetic field directed in this direction, if the charge enters at right angles, then instead of moving straight, what happens means it continues to move in a curved path. That means the charged particle describes a uniform circular motion. If that is the case, then what will be the radius of the circular path traced by the charged particle? For that we can determine one equation, and also what is the frequency of revolution of the charged particle? For that also we can determine one equation, and we can also find one expression for the period. Period means time taken by the charged particle to complete one rotation. For one rotation, time taken is known as period, whereas in 1 second how many revolution it makes, that is nothing but frequency. I consider like this now. So this is the circular path traced by the charged particle. I represent the magnetic field. Magnetic field can be represented either directed outwards or directed inwards. Whether the field is directed outwards or directed inwards, when a charged particle enters, for both the direction it always describes the circular path. I represent the direction of magnetic field by means of simple diagrams like this, by means of cross marks. So the cross mark represent the direction of magnetic field directed inwards perpendicular to the plane of the figure, means perpendicular to the plane of the board. So this is magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the figure. Suppose now if the charged particle is at this point, now it enters into the magnetic field. This is the direction of magnetic field. Charged particle is entering like this. This is the direction of velocity, means direction of motion. For any particle which is undergoing uniform circular motion, always centripetal force act on it. So charge Q is describing a circular path. It enters with a velocity v. Then what is the direction of that centripetal force? Centripetal force means the force which acts always on a revolving particle or rotating body towards the center of the circular path. If this is the particle which is undergoing uniform circular motion, then centripetal force is always directed towards the center of the circular path like this, Fc, centripetal force. Suppose if the same charged particle comes to this point, say for example here, it moves like this and reaches one more point. At this point, What will be the direction of velocity? The direction of velocity is always tangential to the circular path. Okay, then what will be the direction of the centripetal force? The direction of the centripetal force is once again towards the center of the circular path. And again now, if the charged particle reaches some other position, say for example here, then what will be its direction of motion? It is tangential velocity. Then centripetal force acts towards the center of the circular path. How do we obtain the centripetal force here? See, for the particle, centripetal force, it gains centripetal force by means of Lorentz force. Lorentz magnetic force itself provides the centripetal force to the particle which is undergoing uniform circular motion. So let us consider now Lorentz magnetic force is given by F equal to Q into V into B into sin theta. I have considered only the magnitude of the force, not the vector form. Q is the charge of the particle, V is the velocity, and what about this? This is the magnetic field directed perpendicular to the plane of the figure inwards. What is theta? Theta is the angle always between the direction of magnetic field and the direction of velocity. Suppose if this is the direction of velocity, then what's the direction? If this is the direction of magnetic field, what's the direction of velocity? Direction of velocity is like this. That means direction of magnetic field and direction of velocity are mutually perpendicular to each other, like this. Even at this point, the direction of velocity is found to be like this, tangential, once again perpendicular. Even if you consider this point, the direction of velocity will be like this, tangential, means perpendicular. So that I can take theta is equal to 90 degree. So theta equal to 90 degree since B and V are perpendicular to each other. Okay, then what happens to this equation now? F equal to QVB sin 90, sin 90 means 1, so it will be QVB. So this Lorentz magnetic force, I write B because B represents magnetic field, force due to magnetic field is equal to QVB. This amount of force itself will act as centripetal force on the charged particle. That means for the charged particle, the Lorentz force provides the centripetal force. Therefore, centripetal force is given by Fc equal to mv square by r. Q is the charge of the particle, V is the velocity of the particle, and B is the magnetic field. Okay, so here m is the mass of the particle and r is the radius of the circular path. Radius of the circular path. Okay, so this is nothing but radius. Okay, radius. Then what's the expression for the radius? I already told you that the Lorentz force itself will act as centripetal force. That means this force is providing centripetal force to the charge. So I can write further like this, Fb equal to Fc. If Fb equal to Fc, what is Fb? QVB. Then what is Fc? Fc is nothing but mv square by r. So one V and V gets cancelled. What is left here? QB is equal to mv by r. Okay, cross multiply this, then r will be equal to mv divided by qb. So this is the radius of the circular path, and we call this also as gyro radius. Gyro means what? Gyro means rotation or rotating. So gyro radius. Suppose for mass and velocity, if I substitute P, momentum of the charged particle, then R will be equal to P divided by QB. So because P equal to small p I have to use is nothing but momentum. So momentum of the charged particle. So radius can be expressed in terms of momentum. Radius can also be expressed in terms of mass and velocity. We studied one relation between the angular frequency, angular velocity and as well as linear velocity. Also angular frequency, angular velocity or angular frequency. What is that relation? We know that angular velocity omega is nothing but V by R. Relation between angular velocity and linear velocity. See, this is linear. So angular omega describing the circular path, particle describing the circular path. So omega equal to V by R. If I make the substitution to R, then what do I get? P divided by QB. So QB goes to numerator, then omega will be equal to V into QB divided by P. Okay. Or else, instead of substituting this, directly I can substitute MV, then V and V gets cancelled, QB goes to the numerator. So QB divided by what is left here? So M is left. But what is omega? Angular velocity or angular frequency in terms of time period. Suppose if I consider omega, but omega equal to 2 pi by t. What is t? T is the time taken by the charged particle to complete one rotation or one revolution, like this. If it starts from here to come back to the same point, what time it takes, that is known as time period. So this equation becomes now, for omega I substitute 2 pi by t, which is equal to QB divided by M. Cross multiply and get the equation for time period. So time period t is equal to, if you cross multiply this, then it will be 2 pi M divided by QB. So this is the expression for the time period of the charged particle which is undergoing uniform circular motion. Next, by making use of this equation, now we can find the expression for the frequency. Frequency means in 1 second how many revolution it makes, whether it makes 10 revolution, 50 revolution, 100 revolution, that is nothing but frequency. So frequency of the charged particle is given by reciprocal of the time period. So this will become equal to, what is t? 2 pi m divided by QB. QB goes to numerator, and finally we get the expression for frequency as nu equal to QB divided by 2 pi m. So this is the expression for the frequency, and we also call this as gyro frequency. Gyro frequency or cyclotron frequency. Cyclotron frequency. Cyclotron is one of the device which is used to accelerate the charged particles. So we discussed that in the forthcoming classes. So these are the different expressions or equations for a charged particle undergoing uniform circular motion when it enters at right angles to the magnetic field, not electric field. One for radius and one for angular velocity and one for time period and one for frequency. Look here, from this equation it is found that R is directly proportional to V and inversely proportional to B. What does it mean? If the velocity of the particle increases, then it is going to describe a circle of further larger radius. So if V increases, then there will be a circular path of larger radius. What about this inversely proportional? If B decreases, if magnetic field is less, once again radius will be large. Or if magnetic field is large, that means if the magnitude of the field strength is I, then radius will be small. If B increases, R decreases. If V increases, R increases. That is the meaning of this. And again, from this equation, look here, T is directly inversely proportional to B, because M is constant, charge is also constant, 2 pi is already a constant. What does it mean? If the field strength increases, then time taken to complete one rotation, that decreases. Larger the field, lesser will be the time taken to complete one revolution or one rotation. So that is the meaning of this. Finally, what about this equation? Look here, frequency nu is directly proportional to magnetic field, because here Q is constant, 2 pi is constant, mass of the charged particle is also constant. What does it mean? Once again, if the field strength increases, then the frequency of revolution increases. So if we increase the field, then the particle is capable of undergoing more number of revolution in 1 second. So that is the meaning of this. We know that if a charged particle enters into a magnetic field, either parallel to it or anti-parallel to it, it always describes a straight line path. This we have already studied in our previous class, but let us know once again about it. This is the uniform magnetic field. Okay. Then, if a charged particle Q enters into the magnetic field along the same direction, that means in the direction of the field, then it continues to describe a straight line path. Whereas if the charged particle moves anti-parallel to the field, instead of moving along the direction of field, if it moves opposite to the direction of field, means anti-parallel, then also it describes the straight line path. And we also know that, just now we understood that if a charged particle enters at right angles to the magnetic field with a velocity v, then instead of moving straight, it describes a circular path. This also we understood. That means we can find the trajectory of the charged particle. Trajectory means path of the charged particle. What are those trajectory? At 0 degree, also 180 degree. 0 degree and 180 degree entry of the charged particle to the magnetic field. 0, in this case theta equal to 0 degree. Anti-parallel means theta is equal to 180 degree. In both the cases, what happens? Particle moves along straight line. Okay. Whereas at right angles, if Q is the charged particle, if it enters into the magnetic field at right angles, theta equal to 90 degree. So at 90 degree, then particle moves in a circular path. So in this case, the trajectory is a straight line. That means the path is a straight line. Whereas in this case, the trajectory is nothing but circular. Suppose in the uniform magnetic field, if a charged particle enters at an angle other than 0 degree, 90 degree and 180 degree, then what will be the path traced by the charged particle? So let us study that. So motion of charged particle in an uniform magnetic field, at an angle theta, to the direction of magnetic field. Okay. At an angle theta means, remember, theta means other than 0 degree, 90 degree and 180 degree. So, except at 0 degree, 90 degree and 180 degree, if charged particle enters into the magnetic field at any other angle, what will be its path? Let us consider now. I consider a Cartesian coordinate system. Either I can consider 2-axis, 2-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system, or 3-dimensional. 3-dimensional means x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So, this is y-axis and this is x-axis. Along x-axis, I consider the direction of magnetic field. So, this will be the direction of magnetic field. Suppose now, if a charged particle enters into the Q be the charge, if it enters into the magnetic field at an angle theta which is not equal to 0, which is not equal to 180 and which is not equal to 90. That means this angle theta is not equal to 0, 90 or 180. At this angle, then along which direction it moves. So, V be the velocity of the charged particle. So, when it enters into the magnetic field, look here, this is the magnetic field, this is the magnetic field. Now, the charged particle is entering into the magnetic field all along this direction, like this, at an angle theta. Then, here what happens means, in this case, the charged particle now, instead of moving along straight line path, instead of moving along straight line path, it is going to describe an helical motion. Why it is so? I can resolve this velocity V into two components. V is resolved into two components. One is V perpendicular and another one is V parallel. That means I split this velocity into two rectangular components. One along the direction of magnetic field like this, and one along y-axis direction. Okay. So, this is nothing but parallel component because parallel to y, and this is nothing but, sorry, we consider this as parallel component, parallel to the magnetic field and perpendicular to the magnetic field. So, this velocity component is all along the magnetic field, therefore V parallel. This velocity component is perpendicular to the magnetic field, therefore I represent this by V perpendicular. Then what is V here? If I want to find V, look here, V is equal to root of V perpendicular square plus V parallel square. The resultant velocity V can be found out by making use of this equation. This parallel component can also be represented as Vx component, and this perpendicular component can be represented as y component. So, this can also be written as V equal to, so Vx square plus Vy square. Now, here what happens? The parallel component of velocity provides a linear motion to the charge. So, to this charged particle, it provides a linear motion. That means this component will make the charged particle to move along x-axis. Whereas the perpendicular component of velocity will make the charged particle to undergo circular motion. That means this component provides a circular motion to the charged particle. So, this provides circular and this provides linear. Now, the combination of both these velocities, together produces an helical motion. That means due to the combination of these two components, now the charged particle Q begins to move in a helical path. Let us write one separate figure for this. Y-axis, x-axis along which magnetic field is there, and now this is how the charge particle enters with a velocity v, making an angle theta with the magnetic field. So this is the helical motion traced by the charge particle. Okay. So this component is nothing but parallel component, and this component of velocity is nothing but perpendicular component. Now, if this is the situation for a charge particle, then we can write few equations related to this helical motion. First one is about the radius of this helical path. This is nothing but helical path. Helical means spring like structure, like this loop of the spring. So this is nothing but now the radius. Okay. So right from this point to this point, or from here to here, this can be considered as radius. Now what is this radius? Radius of helical path is given by R equal to mv divided by qb. But what about v? V means I have to consider which component. I am measuring the radius along which axis? Y axis. Therefore, along y axis which component is existing? Perpendicular component is existing. Therefore, I write this as v perpendicular, or this can also be written as m into y component of velocity divided by qb. So this is nothing but radius of helical path. Then what about the pitch? Pitch means it is the distance travelled by the particle in one complete rotation. Suppose if the particle starts moving from here, then it goes like this, completes one rotation and come back to what? The same level, almost at the same point. If that is the case, then right from here to here, this distance is nothing but pitch. So pitch is nothing but horizontal distance travelled by the charged particle in one complete rotation. Okay. Then what is the equation for this pitch? Let us write the equation for this pitch. It is given by d equal to, pitch is given by d equal to v into t. What is t? Time taken to complete one rotation, that means from here to here, to come back to the same level or to the same point. So what the time taken means? It's nothing but time period, and that time period is represented by capital T. V is velocity, but velocity means which component we have to consider. We have to consider x component, because we are measuring the distance along which axis? D along x axis. Here to measure the radius, we took which component? Perpendicular component, that means y component. So here I consider this as parallel component, which is also equal to Vx into t. Parallel component is V parallel, which is along x axis. I told you that already this can be represented by Vx and this component can be represented by Vy. How can I write this equation? That's the question here. See, we know the formula, simple formula for velocity. What is velocity? Velocity is given by displacement over time. So displacement over time. So then V equal to displacement I represented by D, time I represent by T. So if you cross multiply now, what will be the displacement? Velocity into time. That is what I have written. Here D stands for pitch, which is also nothing but displacement, velocity into time. I write Vx as it is, but for T we know the equation, just now we derived that equation. It is given by 2 pi m divided by qb. Okay, so this is the expression for the pitch. So remember, whenever a charged particle enters at an angle theta which is not equal to 0 degree, also not equal to 90 degree, also not equal to 180 degree, then what will be the trajectory? The trajectory is nothing but helical. That means trajectory means path. What is that path? Helical path. If that is the situation, we can write the expression for the radius of the helical path and also for the pitch of the helical path. We know that different types of coils, copper coils, can be prepared. For example, the coil can be prepared in a circular manner and we call that as a circular coil, and even we can prepare a coil of wire which is in the form of cylindrical tube, which is known as solenoid. Now, if I consider one circular coil, say for example, this is a circular coil of copper wire. Of course, here the radii of the different number of turns are not same. Radii of each turn is continuously changing. As we move from the center, the radii continuously goes on increasing. Of course, this is the circular coil which is used in induction stove. Usually in induction stove, these type of coils are used to produce a strong magnetic field. Now, what is the purpose of considering this circular coil? Here we can pass the current in two directions, only in two directions, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Suppose if the current is passed in clockwise direction, then what will be the direction of magnetic field? Similarly, if the current is passed in anti-clockwise direction, what will be the direction of magnetic field? To find the direction of magnetic field, once again here also we can make use of right hand rule. But we apply the right hand rule or thumb rule in a reverse way, that means in a opposite way. What does it mean? Suppose if the current in the coil flows in clockwise like this, then make use of your right hand. The fingers curling gives the direction of current now, because current is flowing in clockwise. Finger should curl along the direction of flow of current. Then the thumb finger, look here, the thumb finger is pointing towards board. Now the thumb finger gives the direction of magnetic field. Okay. Suppose if the current flows in anti-clockwise like this, then finger should be curled like this. It should be clasped like this in anti-clockwise direction. Then the thumb finger, which is pointing along this direction, gives the direction of magnetic field. So this is how we can make use of right hand rule in a reverse way to find the direction of magnetic field when current is made to flow through a circular coil either in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. Let us write now simple diagram to understand. So imagine this as a circular coil of several number of turns. You can notice one round, one turn, second round, two turn, third round, three turns. Like this we can imagine several number of turns. Let us now consider the current flowing in clockwise direction. So current is said to be in clockwise. Okay. Now, what will be the direction of magnetic field according to right hand rule? Finger should clasp in the clockwise direction. Now the thumb finger gives the direction of magnetic field. So this will be the direction of magnetic field. Now the direction of magnetic field will be from front to back of this coil. So if this is the coil and if this is the direction of current, then the magnetic field will be like this. It moves from front side to back side of the coil. So this is how we can apply the rule. Similarly now, if I consider the flow of current in anti-clockwise direction, so this is anti-clockwise, then in such a case, what will be the direction of magnetic field? Once again apply the right hand rule. Fingers are clasping in anti-clockwise direction, then thumb finger is pointing in the outward direction. So this will be the direction of magnetic field. That means if the current in the coil flows in anti-clockwise direction, if I apply the right hand rule, then the thumb finger clasping gives the direction of current, thumb finger pointing outwards like this, it is pointing in the outward direction, that gives the direction of magnetic field. Along with this, we have to understand one more thing. What is that means? Whenever current flows through a circular coil like this, the near face of the coil, which is the near face? Suppose if the observer is on this side, then for the observer this will be the near face and this will be the far off face. If the observer observes this coil, or if he looks at this coil from this direction, then for that observer this will be the near face and this backside face will become far off face. In such a case, what happens means, here the near face will behave like, for this direction of current, the near face will behave like south pole, whereas the back face of the coil will behave like north pole. Whereas in this case, now the near face, that means front face, will behave like north pole and the far off face, that means back face, will behave like south pole. So remember this also. That means we cannot see N and S in front of the coil. By passing the current through this coil, no doubt this face behaves like either north pole or south pole depending upon the direction of current. Okay. So this is what we have to understand, that if current flows in a coil, what will be the direction of magnetic field and which face behaves like north and which behaves like south. All these we make use of these things in the forthcoming explanation of the circular coil. Thank you.